Hi everyone, my name is James Reed. I'm doing my book review for Foundations of Emergency Management course. The book I chose is Bioterrorism, Guidelines for Medical and Public Health Management. And throughout this book, they define bioterrorism and go into the public safety actions that countries have taken since to help prevent and mitigate such attacks. At some point in history, war leaders and terrorists began using microorganisms to conduct their evil biddings. Throughout history, for centuries, people have been using these biological weapons. It goes back to 400 BC. Scythian archers dipped arrows in decomposing bodies or manure. Persian, Greek, and Romans were, in history, in 300 BC, contaminated wells with animal corpses. In 190 BC, a naval captain named Hannibal, he won a battle by throwing vessels of venomous snakes onto ships. 1200s, Barbarossa used dead bodies of soldiers to poison wells of his enemies. In the 1400s, the Tatar military hurled plague corpses into cities. And in 1710, colonists helped spread smallpox to natives in an attempt to clear them of the land that they wanted. And this was considered the first agent of germ warfare. So as you can see, these biological attacks have been going on for centuries and centuries. The reason that these attacks and this form of destruction appeal to people is because of its virulence, toxicity, transmissibility, and lethality. It's appealing because it can grow from a single organism and can spread quickly. It's attractive because of its low cost. It can be readily available at any point. It's easily stored and transported, and until recently, most attacks have been very difficult to detect and identify. They're not always recognizable at first, and they can be transmissible with very slow symptoms, so spreading can occur even without symptoms already showing. They're very easily spread. It takes very little to infect people. And testing takes a long time to understand exactly what's going on. As of recently, and now that more attention is being given to it, people have been able to take strides in reducing the damage done by it. What's considered a biological weapon is a weapon that can spread agents that cause disease like viruses, bacteria, or toxins. They're easily spread. They provide high death rates, and they require special action in order to put an end to it. Right now, some of the examples, they have around 47 specified weapons in this categories: anthrax, the plague, typhoid fever, smallpox, Korean fever, Congo hemorrhagic fever, and Rift Valley fever. In 1925, the Geneva Protocol was passed to ban chemical and biological warfare. So this was an attempt by the UN to help reduce some of these damages and to bring communities together and internationally to try to reduce the amount of attacks in this manner. However, that obviously does not apply to terrorists who do not follow that protocol. In 1972, the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention banned all bacteriological weapons also. So this was just another law that was passed and agreed upon internationally. But since these have been passed, like I said, terrorists have been the primary users. The example that I already mentioned was the anthrax attacks on the U.S. in 2001. There was sarin gas used by Al-Qaeda in 2005, and these both essentially up the stakes for security needs. After these attacks, biosafety programs were forced to evaluate the effectiveness of their program, the proficiency of their workers, the quality and effectiveness of their equipment, and their containment and security procedures. So after these attacks, internationally, specifically in Europe, mentioned in this book, a lot of leaders came together to discuss and decided that helping to prevent and mitigate such damages is of vital importance. These threats can be both intentional and unintentional, so it was also important for these countries to design a protocol and a way about doing testing and how to handle these situations safely and effectively. How we've made progress as a race, as a human race, is through cooperation. These communities internationally have brought together their top scientists, technicians, policymakers, security engineers, and law enforcement officials to help in the fight to end this sort of warfare and terrorism. In order to continue to progress, we need further funding and attention on biosurveillance. We need continued technological advancements, support and funding for these advancements, data integration from multiple agencies internationally, and further education for our first responders. Going back to the data integration, how we've been able to successfully identify and address attacks such as this is by calculating a database and saving the data. So making this data available to countries worldwide, it saves valuable time in addressing, figuring out what the attack is, and hopefully through the data having the answer readily available to reduce further spreading. So as we talk about technicians, sensor technology is what a lot of attention has gone into. It's still flawed at this point, but it has come a long way. Every agent, so every disease that's used, they have different properties, and so for each property you have to have its own sensor that's very specific, and each test is different, which provides a bit of a problem. Each pathogen or microorganism requires its own test, and it needs to be analyzed for faster recognition. How we've improved, having this broader database now helps for quicker and more accurate results and can provide for a quicker reaction. They now have a handheld device for first responders called HANA, H-A-N-A-A. This helps provide results in approximately 30 minutes during an attack or during a spread, unintentional. It uses integrated heaters, cooling systems, and windows to quickly identify such pathogens and bacteria. And it already has saved several lives. Anthrax, like we spoke, is a disease that you may have contracted it and not shown symptoms yet, and you can be spreading it, so it's important to quickly identify if an anthrax attack has taken place. And another one that's come out is called BASIS, B-A-S-I-S, and it detects and locates aerosol release. So this can help pinpoint, if an attack were to take place, where it came from and where the origin was. So far, it has a virtually zero false alarm rate, and it helps determine the location of the attack by measuring the dilution from the original spot. So biosafety associations are becoming more and more funded and common, and have begun communicating and working together, specifically in Europe, as mentioned in the book. They've created international standards and laws to work together to reduce health risk to communities worldwide. They've come together to address the many issues and help and provide support for one another in case of such attacks. We still need to continue to establish effective international communication systems to share information for rapid response and recovery. Details on the developments of secure site for testing and mitigation still need to be funded and supported. There's still research being done on not only intentional human containment, such as an attack, but also regarding animal contamination or unintentional spreading through mishandling. So further education is being established and provided to handlers and to first responders. Theft and choosing quality officials and handlers is also a standard that must be perfected over time. As we know, terrorists will do horrible things, such as infiltrating these establishments, so it's important to have the proper people handling such pathogens and things whenever testing and helping to prevent such attacks. And we need to continue to improve the methods we have and continue to recruit other nations to aid in progress in biosecurity. Overall, I learned a lot from this reading. This is a different example of emergency management that maybe a lot of people don't have much knowledge of. I didn't have much knowledge of it myself, as it's a situation that a lot of people won't thankfully ever come in contact with, but it's important to know that it is a focus and that further procedures are still being done to help save lives and to not only to save lives but make it more effective, cost effective, and just to help prevent such attacks in the future. So thank you for your time.